Hi, you guys. This is Rachel here, the Modern Shaman. Thanks for joining me for another YouTube Q&A video this week. I wanted to make a little announcement. I mentioned it last week, but I also want to reiterate it today, and that is that I'm starting live streaming events starting next week. So put it on your calendar, February 4th, which is next Friday at noon. So we're gonna have lunch together. I thought maybe that would be accessible for people who are at work or need to kind of delegate a time to take their lunch break. So next Friday at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. Remember, I'm in Texas, so wherever you are, set your timer and make sure that you'll be there. These are question and answer, open dialogue, really all things, all questions are open, but essentially it's a dialogue of the spirit. It's not a reading. I'm not giving readings for people. It's a dialogue just like this about being on your journey on this earth and how to integrate all your capabilities, or sometimes it's experiences that you've had. This community is an awesome community. I've started doing live streams on Facebook like a couple years ago, and I've loved it. I call you guys my wolf pack. It's like my Modern Shaman family. And the energy there is so cumulative. It's like an energetic cloud of support for everyone else that is trying to be and live out their best life possible here and just wanting to support each other on their journey. And that is so much of what I love about doing these live streams, is connecting and seeing other people that think like you do, that are going through experiences that may be similar, that show you that you are not alone. Literally, there's another person right there asking the question that you wanted to ask. It is just a beautiful time of connection. And then at the end of our hour segment together, after we've done all of the questions and answers, we do 15 minutes of group meditation. And I just channel that. I don't really plan what I'm going to do. Sometimes it is a shamanic journey that's led. Sometimes it's a physical manifestation, meditation. Sometimes it's alignment or healing. I just let spirit lead that. But it's also a powerhouse time of just taking a moment in your day and dedicating it to your own self-growth, your spiritual alignment and process. So I hope you guys join us February 4th, 12 p.m. right here on this YouTube channel. I'm going to be live streaming, and have your questions ready. Now, most of you guys know that I have been answering for the last couple videos the same email from a longtime viewer. And this is part 3. So he asked 4 different questions, but this is one of the questions he also asked regarding his business. Now, I launched my spiritual entrepreneurship, like spiritual business program, to teach those that wanted to take their healing gifts, their intuitive gifts, their abilities from their divine source in order to create something functional for themselves as a business. That just naturally kind of outpoured because I was teaching my masterclass, and so many students went through that curriculum and then felt really confident about their gifts, because so much of the practicum is actually like doing readings, doing healings, doing this and getting feedback. And so you're building your confidence each step of the way. Well, by the end of that masterclass, people were like, we want to turn this into a business. So it kind of became like a general request over and over and over from graduates, were those that were doing mentorships with me. And so I opened that program, and my view on business may be a little different than typical business teachers, I'm assuming, because it's coming from me and I have that spiritual slant to everything, because spirit is first for me. But I will answer this question in regards to kind of my take with business. So he started his business and it wasn't really going as well as he had hoped. And his question is this: what the heck do I do or not do in order to make my business happen? How do I know when to hold him and when to fold him? Run towards the cliff and take a big leap of faith. So these are all question marks. Okay, so the first part of that question, what the heck do I do or not do in order to make it happen? When you ask those words, make it happen, that's going to drop right into my first piece of advice. And that would be the masculine aspect of your business. So when we want our business to be holistic, just like ourself, we want to include the masculine and the feminine aspects. Now remember, this has nothing to do with gender, okay? Just erase that from your mind. This has to do with the aspects and the character traits that do show up in our hormones. But those hormones, remember, we have both, even as a female in gender, we have both testosterone and the masculine hormones, and we have estrogen and progesterone, we have the female hormones. And so do males that are gender males. So it has nothing to do with your physiological structure. It has to do with your energetic body and the character traits that brings out into your life. So my first piece of advice would be more on the masculine side. When you want to make it happen, this is exertion energy, okay? And this is dominantly masculine. Now, we have to be wise enough to realize we live in a matriarchal society right now. The structures of the way that the financial system and our business experience success, and if you want financial success, you're going to have to take into account and utilize the financial structure that's in place. I see this a lot within the spiritual community. It's like they want to do the woo-woo stuff, or they want to just like consult astrology about when to do things and when to do, but they're not looking at the numbers. They don't know any of their analytics. They don't know how much money does it take to run your business? How much money does it take to market your business? How much do you put out? How much do you have in? They don't know their numbers at all. And I'm like, look, if you want money, and then they're like, but I want the money. I need to pay my bills. And I'm like, if you want to be in that and you want spirit to flow to you in that way, then you need to get in alignment with that. If you want it to flow in terms of money, then you need to know your numbers. And there's no ethical judgment on it. It's just math, right? Okay? Know your numbers. That's my piece of advice to you. Know what is your break even, know when you're making money, and then when you're making money, where should that money go? Now, the masculine part of this, like I said, is you're going to have that hustle, that exertion. This is just the way that businesses succeed in our traditional current system, okay? They are marketed. You can have the best product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, your business is going to just flop. And you're not going to be able to keep making that product, right? Because you can't afford to keep making it unless you have endless personal money to choose from. But typically, if you want the success of material support for yourself, you're going to need to know the structure of the way your money comes in, the way that you can build it forward. So how much can I afford to put towards my marketing? If I'm just starting out and I'm barely making $50 over my break even, how much of that 50 can I afford to put towards marketing? And then how long can I do that? Can I do that for a year and sustain paying my bills with my other job and ramp into it? A lot of people also drop themselves in without any structure of their business. They just quit the other one. They're like, I don't like that business, and I don't like working for so-and-so, and I'm going to start my own thing. But to me, that's not a wisdom perspective. That's an emotional decision. When you make those kind of decisions, unless you have money that you've saved somewhere for yourself to have a bucket of time to set up and ramp into a career, it's going to be tough, because that's just the reality of how businesses are. They typically are in the red for the first couple of years, depending on how large scale your business is. So just be aware of that, and don't negate the validity of the masculine aspect of business. Masculine aspects are the logic, the systematic, the numerical, the way that the cogs in the machine all play together. This is extremely useful in a business dynamic, right? Knowing what is it that my business needs to survive. Look at other models. If you don't know, look at other businesses that you can model your success after. It's not rocket science. Get out there and do it. Anybody can do it. And then you have to put that exertion energy in it. That's like, I'm going to hustle. I'm going to push. If I'm going to wake up, not like I'm going to take my time. And if you got to do it. When I was starting my business, I was getting up at 4 a.m. to meditate, because I was like, gotta meditate. Getting up early to do my me time. And then I was cranking. And I was just cranking. And if ever I had an open spot, I was reaching out to people. I've got an open spot. Do you want the open spot? I wasn't just sitting around, like asking spirit to bring it to me. That's what I did in my meditation time. I was visualizing, I was asking, I was passionately wanting this to just absolutely serve. And then at the beginning of every session, I was putting that energy in to absolutely make it transformative and change their life. But the nitty gritty of it, I had to do the business aspect, because I wanted it to be successful in order to support my kids. And at that time, I was on my own. There was no there was no support from a partner. It was just me supporting my 3 kids. So I was like, I got to do this and I got to do it for real. So that's my first piece of advice, is don't skip the mechanics of the masculine, which are all your numbers. Know your numbers and know them well. Know how you want to project forward with your numbers. Like I said, if you start making money, when you do, where does that money go? Okay, because if you just start like, oh yeah, and then you spend it on these little things and then you realize, okay, I just got that big printer, or I bought myself a new computer, but I have no marketing now. So I have no new clients coming in, or know how long you can go with the money that you have. Give yourself a structure that feels like it's understood and it's safe for you to move forward. Now, my second piece of advice is the feminine aspect, right? So this is your second question, actually. You worded it perfect because you said, what do I do to make it happen? That's the masculine energy. And then how do I know when to hold them and when to fold them? There's the feminine, right? Which is your intuition, which is your divine guidance. And this is what I talked about last week in the video, or what your earlier question asked about, like why psychic development? Because psychic development has a structure. It creates a structure for you to have confident interactions with your inner guidance, whether that be your higher self, whether that be your prayers to God in your particular religion, and how to know the guidance that God is giving you back, or whether it's your ascended masters or angels or ancestors, whoever it is that you want to listen to from your heart space in order to have a dialogue of higher communication and wisdom, whatever gives you that sense of peace. Now, psychic development provides a structure to that so that you don't feel delusional when you are connecting. If you are connecting and you have all this intuitive energy flowing, but you have no structure to it, the voices are chaotic. It's like all these voices, your fears also personify and speak to you, and you don't know how to turn down and mute the voices of fear. You don't know how to differentiate and segment. You don't know how to tell the difference of a vibrational galactic being from an ancestor. So if you don't know how to structure the difference of that, it can feel overwhelming. And you can feel really lost in how to make decisions for yourself and for your life. That's another point of why psychic development is important. This is the integration, right, of divine guidance, of connecting with your own higher energy, and then integrating it into your choices, your everyday choices, your choices about things like, what do I do with my business? Do I keep going or do I fold? So that's my second piece of advice to you, would be go towards your intuition, your heart, and ask those questions in a time of meditation. Ask those big questions of, why am I doing it? Should I stick it out? If so, if spirit says yes, then keep on that communication. That's another thing I teach you in psychic development. If spirit says something, a lot of times people just stop asking, or they just stop the communication. It would be like having a conversation with a friend and you're like, what should I do? And they're like, they give you an answer, or they give you a yes or no answer, and then you just stop. Like deadpan. It's not, I mean, no one does that, right? This is a conversation. So once you get in communication and your frequencies are lined up with the non-physical human being, or a non-physical galactic being, or angelic being, celestial being, at that point, you have an open dialogue. So begin learning how to keep that communication going, especially for things that feel like they're a big deal for you in your business. And so I would open up to that communication. I would ask, should I keep doing this? If they say yes, then say, how long? How long should I keep doing this? In what areas do I need to really draw my attention to? Is it my marketing that's falling? Is it the structure? Like it doesn't have enough structure? Am I not using my time well? And listen. A lot of times when information comes back, the negative voices or the fears or the chaotic energies, they come back quick and they come back sharp because they're shallow. They're not from that center point of peace in your heart center and that chakra of alignment. When you feel that, the voices of your inner guidance are very peace-giving. You literally can feel the sensation of your muscles relaxing from the information that they give you, even when the guidance is hard. Even if they say, you should get rid of the business or whatnot. or this is not the right time. You're going to need to wait 5 years. There's something in us that when we hear the truth and counsel that is in alignment with our highest good, it releases us. It literally, like the energetic body, moves into harmony with it. You feel it, especially if you're clairsentient. You have empathic energies within you, and that psychic sense activated. But you'll know. That's my second piece of advice, is to go towards that feminine or that intuitive mastery for your guidance, because there is no better direction for you on those major decisions in your life than checking in with the divine essence of source. There's so much peace there, and it only speaks to you what you know. And when you hear it, you're like, yeah, I knew that in my heart of hearts. I knew that, but I was just listening to all of this or everybody else around me, and everybody's got advice for me about what I should do. No, let me go here first. Again, there is wisdom. I notice I didn't say don't check your numbers, don't listen to the way that other people did their business. There's wisdom in that. But your higher guidance takes all of that into consideration. So you do that, you align with the structure, you're aware of the functionality of that masculine aspect of business, of the logic and the systematic and the functionality of the money and all of that. And then you also come into your higher guidance when you ask that second question of timing and the heart of the matter. Is it time to move on, or is it time to really buckle down or focus in one other area that I've been missing maybe? I've noticed within my business, so much of it is the balance of the two, which I would say that's my piece 3 of advice, is the balance of the masculine and feminine. And this comes in through flexibility. It's like it has this little vibe of flow. That's my little dance to it. It has that flow aspect of water, to where you're willing to shift and change and notice and intuitively move with, but you still contain the structures and still look at the analytics, and that becomes supportive of that flow. Because of the nature of the world that we live in, with so much when it comes to technology changes so fast, it just kind of ping pongs into our society, and the businesses that function within that society have to also be willing to change quickly. And this is what I found. Like, I'll set up a structure and I'm like, yay, awesome, here we go. And then the energy shifts and I'm like, really, Spirit? Okay. I thought I was going to be able to coast a while. But Spirit's like, no, here we go. We're going this way. But it doesn't necessarily negate everything we've done. It just adds to it in a new avenue. And so then you're asking the questions again. You're looking at your analytics again. You're moving into this dynamic and functionality that is the perfect balance of all of the logic in the system that you've created, or maybe need to recreate or readdress if your analytics look different. For instance, I'll give you an example from my business. I did my analytics at the beginning of January, I think, from a lot of my paid modules. And all of those analytics, like the highest modules, were my meditations. And I was like, that's funny, because I do them, but I don't really preach them or talk about them or whatever. But that was a big awakening that last year in my year-end kind of report I did for myself, I had no idea. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to need to address that. People are wanting that. And so I need to look at that, recognize that, and adjust and be flexible accordingly if I want to make sure that I'm serving in a way that people are wanting. And so anyways, that's just a simple example, but that's my third piece of advice, is to be flexible with the structure that you see as you're analyzing and where it's moving, instead of just saying like, this is my business, this is the way I do it, and this is the way it's going to be. That is a tough role to hold, even as an individual, but especially as a business in a society that's changing so quickly. And all of us on this ascension path know we're changing. This world is changing fast. So if the functionality of that is not addressed and you're not flexible, your business will just collapse also. All right, so those are my 3 pieces of advice: the patriarchal, the matriarchal, and the blend of the 2. Otherwise, I hope you guys come back next week for another video. I'm wishing you well in the meantime. Blessings. Oh, and don't forget, next Friday, live stream. Be here.